You have got to hear this story. Seriously, we are about to unpack one of the wildest startup journeys of the last year. It's about a company called Base44, its solo founder, Maor Shlomo, and a story that is basically the dream for anyone building something today. We're talking about going from a simple side project to a massive, life-changing exit in the time it takes most companies just to find office space. Let's get into it.
So let's start with the number that just made everyone's jaw drop. $80 million. And listen to this, it was an all-cash deal from the web-building giant Wix. Now, this wasn't for some big company with a 10-year history and hundreds of employees. Nope. This was for a tiny one-person startup that had only been around for about 6 months. I mean, just look at this timeline. It really shows you how completely insane this sprint was. Maor starts messing around with an idea in November. By January, he's already got his first users on board. Fast forward to May, just a few months later, and he's blown past 400,000 users and is already making a profit. And then bam, the very next month, it's a done deal. He's acquired. That kind of speed is it's breathtaking. So you have to be asking yourself the same thing I was. How in the world did one guy working mostly by himself build a product so good that it pulls in hundreds of thousands of users and an $80 million buyout in half a year? Well, it wasn't magic. It came down to a few core principles that are just fascinating.
Okay, first principle, and it's one you hear all the time, but this story is maybe the perfect example of it. The best products, the ones that really connect with people, they almost always start by solving a problem that you, the founder, feel personally. It's not about chasing some hot trend, it's about fixing a genuine frustration. For Maor, the idea for Base44 didn't come from some spreadsheet or market analysis. It came from two very specific, very real moments of pain. First, he's trying to help his girlfriend build a pretty simple website, and he's just blown away by how terrible and clunky the tools are. Then, he's volunteering for a nonprofit, the Israeli Scouts, and he sees them get quoted an insane amount of money for some basic software. He felt that pain and just knew there has to be a better way. And this is the light bulb moment. He realized the problem wasn't the AI. He knew the AI models were getting good enough to write code. The missing piece, the real gap, was the infrastructure. The AI had no easy way to talk to a database, or handle logins, or all the other backend stuff. So he decided, okay, I'll build that part. And that idea led to this concept people are calling vibe coding. But the real magic of Base44 was its batteries-included approach. You see, when you describe the app you want, it doesn't just spit out some code for the web page. It builds the whole thing. It spins up the database, it sets up the user accounts, it handles the backend logic, all of it, automatically. You don't have to glue a bunch of different services together. It just works. Which brings us to the second big idea here, the bootstrapper's mindset. And this is more than just not taking venture capital money. It was a totally different way of thinking about how to build a company. One that chose passion and product over pressure and PowerPoints. To really get this, you just have to look at the difference between Maor's two companies. His last one, Explorium, classic Silicon Valley playbook. He was CEO for 7 years, raised $130 million, big team, big pressure, enterprise sales. Base44 could not have been more different. He was a solo founder, no funding, product-led, and he started it, get this, just for fun. And this quote really just says it all. After years in that high-stress CEO role, his only goal was to get back to the thing he actually loved doing, building stuff. He wasn't trying to build a unicorn or raise a massive round of funding. And that lack of pressure, it turned out to be his secret weapon. It let him just focus on making something people wanted. So how did he pull it off alone? He used the modern builder stack. He was using tools like Rescue Time to keep himself focused, which was huge for him. He leaned so heavily on AI coding tools like Cursor that he said he felt like he was managing teams of AIs, not writing code himself. He even used his own product, Base44, to build tools that automated his social media content. It's a total masterclass in leverage. All right, so that leads to our third piece of the puzzle, growth. How do you get to 400,000 users when your marketing budget is basically zero? Well, the answer is you throw out the old playbook. You turn your product and your community into your growth engine. This chart pretty much tells the whole story. Maor did what you're supposed to do. He spent a few $1,000 on some paid ads and influencers. The result? Basically nothing. Almost 100% of his insane growth came from something else entirely. It came from building in public, being real on LinkedIn, and creating a genuine community.
The key here is that this wasn't just luck. It was a playbook. First, he started super small with just 3 friends. He literally sat with them and built what they needed until they loved it so much they started telling their other friends. Then he found the one channel that was working for him, LinkedIn, and went all in on it, ignoring the noise everywhere else. He was transparent, sharing the wins and the losses. And crucially, he gave users free credits for sharing what they built. He basically turned his entire user base into his marketing department.
And the last part of this growth engine was pure speed. Maor understood something fundamental. Shipping new stuff constantly is a form of marketing. When people in your community see the product getting better every single day, they get invested, they get excited, and they can't help but talk about it. That velocity, it creates its own hype.
Okay, so he's built this amazing, profitable, fast-growing company that he loves working on. Which brings us to the big final question. Why in the world would you sell a gold mine? Why walk away from that?
And let's be crystal clear, this thing was a gold mine. In the month of May alone, right before the acquisition, Base44 brought in almost $189,000 in pure profit. This wasn't some project burning through cash hoping to maybe make money someday. It was a real, thriving, cash-printing business.
So really, he was at a crossroads. He had 2 paths. Path 1, stay independent, keep 100% control, make a ton of money, and run a super fun lifestyle business. Path 2, joining Wix, offered something else entirely. It was a shot at playing in the major leagues. It was a strategic choice to trade that control for the massive scale and resources he would need to truly go after the entire market.
So when you boil this whole incredible story down, what are the big lessons? First, solve a pain that you actually feel. Second, authenticity and community, they're not just buzzwords. They can be your best marketing strategy. Third, speed is a feature. Moving fast creates its own energy. And maybe the biggest one of all, the rules have changed. One person with the right AI tools can now build what used to take a whole VC-funded company to create. And that really leaves us with one final thought. The story of Base44 isn't just about one guy getting a huge exit. It feels like a signal of what's to come. In this new world of AI co-pilots and incredible leverage for the individual, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is the next billion-dollar company not being dreamt up in some fancy boardroom, but being built right now in someone's apartment by someone who just decided to fix a problem they really cared about?